Hello, and welcome back to Beast Fables, a weekly show where we follow the lives of tiny animals in a massive forest. My name is Brian, and I'll be your narrator for today's adventure. I use he/him pronouns, and I'm the founder of Dungeons on a Dime, a publishing imprint creating entry-level tabletop role-playing game content. You can find some of the awesome games that I make, such as Scurry, that we're going to be playing today, and Adventures on a Dime, which we play in our main campaign, over on my website, doad.co.uk. You can also see that we are playing natively on Roll20, who are delicious, delightful, delectable sponsors of the show. I'm going to scribble. Look at that, I can just scribble all over this map I made and ruin it. It's perfect. They sponsor the show, they are fantastic, and you can see all of the stuff, all of the tools and the character sheets and the things that we use are just free on their website. Isn't that neat? We love them. We are playing an interlude adventure today, happening in between the end of Beast Fables Campaign 1 and Beast Fables Campaign 2. I am joined today by three full guests to the show. They are Leo and Eve and Letty. We're going to start with Eve introducing themselves first, and then we'll move on from there.
Yeah, hi, I'm Eve. I use they and he pronouns. I create the webcomic Inhibit, and I also run Quindry Press, which is a comics publisher.
And Quindry Press is just amazing. You guys are putting some really cool content out there, so just let a fanboy moment of like,
Thank you.
Who are you playing today?
I am playing Caradwyn, who is a little grey, long-eared bat. He is one of the castle servants, and he's just a shy, he knows everyone, no one knows him, shy, kind of quiet person with a very intense particularity about things being tidy and in their place.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next up, we have Letty.
Hi, I'm Letty. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns is also good. I'm a comics artist and illustrator. I do quite a lot of work on role-play games. I did the interior art for a game called Wonder Home, which I think is out in print really soon. And comics, including a recent one for Quindry Press about knights fighting and kissing in the forest, and it was really good today.
That's a great synopsis. I should have used that.
And who do you play, Letty, in today's game?
I will be playing Oger, and he is a little bittern, which is like, they're related to herons. They're smaller and browner, and generally just a really little weird looking bird with a long beak and long legs. And he is a librarian, so a letter lender, so working as kind of a local historian around the setting that we're in today.
I just love the description of littler and browner. That's just beautiful. And last but definitely not least, we have got Leo joining us for the very first time today. Very excited to have you along. Please say hello.
Oh, thanks for having me. Hi, I'm Leo. I use he, they pronouns, and I go by the artist handle of Cruve on the other places I make art. Yeah. I on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. I do comics, some on occasion, but I mainly do illustrations for TTRPGs, and I worked on a couple of TTRPG books. I will be I will be playing a character today. Do you want me to talk about them?
Yes, please. I mean, first of all, like, what books have you worked on? Just drop some names.
Oh, of course. Sorry. I did the covers for Monsters Know What They're Doing. And I am currently working on an LGBT 5e supplement called Monsters of America. And I'll be working on some Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Oh my god. Ooh. The Kickstarter for Thirsty Sword Lesbians was so cool.
Hell yeah, I'm so excited to work on their stuff. And I've also worked for Crit Roll.
Just cash. Who are you playing today?
Oh, well, I'm playing your local idiot thief, Oswald Fleetfoot. He's a ferret, and he has a knife. And he's
What more do you need to know?
Yeah, exactly. He's long, he has long knife, and he's stupid.
He's a long boy with a long knife and long fingers.
He's long knife, long finger, long body, short-lived because he's stupid.
Oh, perfect. Okay. We start today's adventure looking down, bird's eye view, at the very end of summer. Heat shimmers in the air, and we look down on Castle Clare, which is this large, dominating stone building on the Isle of Shallot. So I'm going to draw with my lovely mouse. You can just see it right here. This is Castle Clare. It is sized for cats, so imagine a castle, but maybe waist high. Well, a bit bigger. Yeah, like the first floor comes waist high, and then like the second floor is like armpit high, and then it's like as tall as a person for the very tops of the towers on this small island in the middle of a river. In the surrounding kind of countryside, we can see brush and trees that are growing fairly healthily because they're right next to this water source, but the river is a little murky and muddy from a long extended summer that the bristly woods has endured so far. We see a few thin trails of smoke coming out of chimneys of stone cottages, and there are in the reeds some small stick-built huts of voles, shrews, other kind of like water-dwelling animals, a few beavers. And the beasts here seem to be going casually about their business. The camera pans past the red tiles of Castle Clare and in through one of the windows. The castle itself is not decadently adorned, but more like a very lived-in house where generations of family have kind of had this property for a long time, if that makes sense. So it's not over the top in its decoration, but instead it's just in an organized way, cluttered. There are rugs and hangings, there's furniture, there are pegs everywhere where there might be like shawls or cloaks hung up. Even from the main hall to the guard room to the north tower, there's evidence of beasts living in this place for maybe 50 or 60 years. The castle itself, as castles go, is fairly new in construction, and only a few stones have a crack here or there of pressure or shifting over time. The camera goes down into the first floor, which is this lower portion here, and it comes in through the window of the gallery here, and we see there are a few otters who are working on setting up some large canvas pieces of fabric to start weaving intricate designs into them. We move through the door here into the corridor, and we see through the doorway here a little brown bird picking at some of the books on the shelves of a library. Ozia, what are you doing right now?
I am trying to find a record that I think it's been misfiled. I've really checked everywhere, and it I don't want to cast aspersions on the librarians who do the record here, but it seems like it must be misfiled because I just can't find it.
Mm-hmm. You sort of look over your shoulder at Ivor, who is the resident librarian here. You're visiting for a few months. And Ivor is very gently, as an aged bird would be, just sort of sleeping in a beam of sunlight coming in through one of the windows. And is just sort of cluttering and snoring through his beak. He is a plover, so wide and round with a short beak and kind of brown and little blue tinges of feather. They look a little aged and distressed, as he's quite old as birds go.
I don't want to wake you, but Ivor.
He keeps snoring.
Oja is very reluctant to wake him, but he has been looking for an hour for this record. So he goes over and kind of gently prods at Ivor with a wing.
Mm-hmm. You sort of tap him with the wing, and I think it's more like the cool breeze of that rushing over him rather than the actual sensation of being touched that wakes him. And he sort of, his eyes sort of flutter, and he sort of like looks around and goes, "Oh, hello, Ozia. How are you? Good morning." And it is like 3 PM.
Yes. Good afternoon, Ivor. I've been looking. I can't find the weather reports for the last, like, not last winter, the winter before. They're just not there. Has somebody taken them out, perhaps, or maybe they've been mislaid, or.
You see kind of the words kind of go in, and you sort of weather reports. Yes, and he sort of kind of gets up from the sort of. It's like a round bowl. It's not necessarily a chair, but it's sort of like a hollow in a plank of wood against one of the walls that any animal could sort of just sit or cuddle up in. It sort of kind of nestles himself out, sort of shakes his feathers. You see that he's got a sort of a loose hanging shawl around his neck in sort of the colours of the Clares, the owner of the castle of Shallot, a sort of a deep crimson red. And he sort of gets up and sort of shakes off a bit of dust and starts to totter through the ground floor of the library and sort of going, weather. And you see that he's just kind of going through all of the places that you've already looked.
I've checked there. If you wanna, I really, they're not where they're meant to be. So like,
have you tried under W for weather?
Osher just kind of leans his head back. W for weather. I hadn't actually checked there. Actually, yeah.
Is this sarcasm or truth?
It's a bit of both. It's mainly like, oh my gosh, is this really? I have so much work to do. Is this really what it's going to be like?
So you go back to double check W for weather, and it is very assuredly not there. While Ivor sort of just potters around and sort of lifts up a stack of papers that you had just organised by date, and then sort of like shifts them, and you're like, oh god, they're going to be, just fix that. And then sort of goes, no, those are plantings from 5 years ago, not weather.
Yeah, they are.
And it's sort of as if he's discovering the library for the first time, and sort of like a casually, but like, oh, plantings, I should probably put those away. Oh, this is wonderful. You wouldn't think that he'd worked here since he was a chick.
Osher just kind of ends up like not looking anymore, and is kind of following him around, sort of trying to put back everything that he is sort of half filing and going, oh no, actually I do still need that one, if you could leave that one out. No, I had these organized.
As you're sort of like trailing behind, you pull out some of your own notes, filed in the wrong place, that he's put away, of the project that you were working on. And you sort of set it back on the table. And this seems to how it feels a little bit, not defeatist, but maybe you should take a break. Maybe let Ozia wake up a little bit. You got to open one of the windows and realize that it is very stuffy and warm in here, and that might be contributing to some of the feelings of being irate that you have.
Yeah.
So you kind of let in some of the fresh air, and you look out and down on the courtyard at the front of the castle, and you see the guards are lined up. There is, I'm going to check. So there's an otter and a squirrel and a hedgehog and a badger and a hare. And you all know them before. There's Barkley and Tig and Chris, and you recognise them. And there's a new kind of guard as well you've not really seen before, but they're all being lined up by mate Gwen, who is the one of the mates of Laird Duff, who is the steward of the castle. And you can't quite hear the conversation, but Gwen seems to be kind of talking to the guards. They're all lined up, not in trouble, but just sort of being briefed. And the camera moves over your shoulder, and we pan down to a semi-daydreaming... well, actually, no. I want Oswald to tell me what they are thinking about right now.
Well, Oswald, he's a little sable ferret, so he's got like the little bandit mask, and he's got 3 scars over one of his eyes, so it's healed shut. He doesn't look very much like the other guards who are standing very properly at attention. He's sort of hunched over and very obviously not paying attention to what the guard's saying. You can see his eye kind of like trailing over to a couple of the doors further away. It looks like he's already decided what he's going to do today, and it's not whatever it is he's being instructed to do. He has his little hands behind his back, trying to stand as properly as he can, but definitely not trained in this.
You spent a lifetime hunched over trying not to be seen, and it's hard to work those muscles back up into a rigid, upright position.
Oh yeah, so he's got a key behind his back, and he's twiddling it between his fingers, dreaming of what it could unlock. Maybe some treasure, maybe something interesting.
So you are lined up in the kind of the front courtyard here, in front of the guard dorms, and Mate Gwen is in front of you. Mate Gwen is a large, broad tomcat, and you realise as Gwen stops in front of you, you don't quite remember what they were saying. What do you think they were saying?
Oh my god, he's just like, they were just saying guard, blah 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 blah, guard, blah 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 blah. Something,
you have
something.
The feeling that it is like a question or query, and then there's sort of like this awkward silence. What do you respond? What do you say?
Just like he kind of double takes at them when they come in front, and he just goes, yes.
And there's Gwen leans in slightly and says, "That is the correct answer. We should be patrolling more. These roads are getting more feisty as the summer draws to a close. That is the appropriate answer."
Oh, definitely. These people here definitely haven't been doing their job as much as they maybe should have. You're lucky I'm here.
Maybe. And sort of Gwen kind of speaks to himself or themselves and is kind of is like, "Oh, well, maybe we should bring on more guards. Who hired you again, if I might ask? I'm normally in charge of the force here."
Well, when I got here, they were just like, it was that guy.
Just points to someone in the courtyard.
You point, and I think you just gesticulate generally in the direction of the castle. Yep. And Gwen seems to assume you mean one of the top floors, and kind of Gwen says, "Oh, it was Duff. Duff didn't say anything to me. Well, I shall inquire with him later. For now, you should be about your business. Everyone knows the post they're meant to be at. I shall see you again in the morning." He says, kind of like the equivalent of like a cat salute to the rest of the guard.
Sleep tight.
And then they all start to move off. The kind of the hare and the hedgehog start to walk into the castle through this red door here. Some of the other guards start to walk up the road. Some of them go through the open gates in the kind of this kind of corridor that's in between the castle. And you were sort of left in the courtyard on your own. So, Oswald, what do you do?
I think
you've just been hired as a guard.
He's just like, I just walked in here. He's gonna sort of look at the key from behind his back, give a little twist, and scurry off into the general direction of the manor. Hopefully, it will lead him to some riches. He's not sly about it. He just goes.
So you sort of wander off with this key, and the key is a sort of long and brass in your paws. It has 2 big chunky teeth at the end, and a quarter twist decoratively at the handle. And it's sized for paws. I think a bird would have difficulty maneuvering this big chunky key. Where did you find it?
I think he found it on his walk here. It was sort of, he found a key and a medallion or like a mark of someone that works here. or like is sent here, and a letter of invitation to become a knight or like a guard here.
Yeah.
Just kind of scattered on the floor.
Mm-hmm. The name of the guard, I think, might have been something like Crux. Like it was, Crux, we've had a recommendation from another town, and blah blah blah, and please be our guard, and that's what you've got. And I think you've got the letter tucked away in your belt or something like that. Or
Yes.
I mean, what did you do with it?
I think he probably popped it in his pocket or in his
Mhm.
belt, and just made his way to the castle. He didn't really think he would become a guard, but I think when he walked in, they were like, "Ah, yes, the guard," and he was like, "Ah, yes, the guard."
So, do you want to walk into the north building up here near the gardens?
Yes.
Or do you want to walk into the south building, into the main hall, and explore from there?
He will take sort of the gardens pathway, seeing how the main hall might be a little bit busy. I know he thinks that he's a guard and he's been hired as a guard, but he still has to be sneaky, quote unquote, sneaky about it.
So you walk through the open gates and you notice, and just have the thought of, it's a bit weird having gates when this place is surrounded by water and you could just swim around the castle. And stroll, you see that the doors to what is labelled the second hall are open. You see a large stained glass window looking out over the garden, and you also see that there is a path round here as well. So would you like to go into the second hall, or would you like to go round through into the gardens?
We go through into the gardens.
Mm-hmm. So you walk around the corner and you are temporarily sort of like shocked. You sort of turn the corner into the garden and you see a creature that is, to your scale, quite big. Bigger than a cat. You see a muntjac deer with a plough, sort of happily trotting along. And there is a hare behind them sticking seeds into the ground.
She backs up. Gonna go in the second hall.
You kind of see this big deer pulling a plough and this hare, and they are like happily whistling to each other, and then or like whistling a tune together. And then you go, nope. You go back into the second hall. You see a bunch of closed doors. One is marked the still room. One is marked the tax office, and then the others are unmarked.
Go to the tax office.
You go to the door of the tax office.
He prays to
And
the
I think
key
it's-
momentarily. He's like, please, 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 please.
You put the key in the door, and it rattles, and then the door opens.
Oh.
You have the key in your hand. Or actually, no, I'm going to say the key is stuck in the door as like a key that's like half-turned is. And an otter sort of opens the door, sort of, I'd say, younger than you'd think for someone working at a tax office. And the otter looks up with spectacles on their nose and sort of like a black cowl cloak around them. Not cowl, yeah, just sort of like a shawl cloak. A book under one kind of paw, and then sort of like a bundle of quills in the other. Has kind of opened the door with one of their feet, and then sort of steps back and goes, "Oh, hello. Who are you? Are you here to declare some goods?"
No, I actually work here. I'm looking for the toilets.
Oh, of course. So there are public facilities just across from the hall, but if you want to use the staff, you can just go through the door on the right and then round through the break room, and then you can get through into there, and that also links through to the gatehouse and the guard dorms. I should probably introduce myself. I work in the tax room. You can call me Tam.
Tam, is nice to meet you. My name is
He tries to think back to the name on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan.
You pause too long, and Tam goes, sorry, I didn't catch that, and sort of stuffs the quills under it, like in with the book under his other arm, and sort of sticks out a paw and says, "So I'm Tam, and you are
Jonathan. Yeah.
Shakes his
Jonathan."
hand.
Shake his hand.
So I'm new around here, and you're actually the first person to introduce yourself. So, what do you do after you're done here?
Well, I was just off to go for the hearings in the main hall with Led Duff. I'm not sure what you mean. Well, I keep books and I make sure that the right travellers coming through are taxed of an appropriate amount of goods to maintain the bridges. That's what I do. And you notice that as he's sort of gesticulating and moving his arms, he's dropping like a quill here and a quill there that he's stuffed under his second arm, and sort of gets into the descriptions. Oh, and there's all sorts of logs that I have to keep, which is very fun. And I'm good friends with the librarian, Ivor. A little dozy, but I think I can help keep the financial records a little bit more organised than, say, the library. And then I organise the goods, and I help Fergie put the plants and the food away for winter, and yeah.
Wow,
and then after that, I go to bed, and then I wake up and do it all over again.
Wow, you do all that in one day?
Well, there's lots of little tasks here and there that kind of stack up and build.
Well,
and
you
that's
should
what
tell
I
me,
do.
definitely tell me more about it. Tonight over a drink, maybe. Is there anyone else that works here?
Sorry?
Is there anyone else who works in this office?
Oh, no, it's just me. It's a small... it doesn't take a lot to organise it and to document, so it's just me. It can get a little bit lonely if I'm in here all day, I'll be honest.
Oh,
But yeah, we should go for a little sip of something, and I'll show you the town, if you knew.
Oh, yeah, that would be great, yeah. What time do you finish?
Normally around when the sun sets. I don't want to break out the candles, and I want to make the best use of the summer lights. Maybe, I'll just pop round later today, pop into my office tonight, and I'll show you around. I have to go to this meeting with the hearing in the main hall with Lord Led Duff. I'll see you later, Jonathan. And sort of the otter squeezes past and closes the door. The key falls out, but I don't think Jonathan notices. And then Jonathan pulls a different looking key out of his kind of like belt pocket and locks the door and says, well, ta-ra, and sort of wanders off through the second hall and into the main hall.
Ta-ra.
Picks up the key and tries it again. He's like, come on.
It doesn't work. Nothing. You also notice that now your right hand paw is covered in like ink spots, and your key is now covered in ink.
He will go to the toilets now.
Mm-hmm. You go over to the water closet, and there's sort of like a wooden stand over a dish. And you see that the dish has got some, like, rabbit pellets in it, and there's also a basin with some water to, like, wash your hands and freshen up.
Oh, come on.
He just starts, like, wiping his hands and the key.
Mm-hmm.
Does the key have any inscription on it or anything like that?
No. It does seem, because it's sort of like, did I say it was brass or copper? It's one of those materials. It's sort of nice and gleaming. It's well used and handled. So... wherever it's for, it saw a lot of use.
I tried the toilet. Please don't be this.
The toilet doesn't actually have a lock. It has a bar that you can wedge the door with on your side of the interior, but doesn't actually have a lock to prevent it from, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Thank God.
You knock the key against the door for good measure.
Yeah, he's just like tap, 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 tap. He has got
as
really
you tap
bad
on the
depth
door.
perception.
Sorry? Oh yeah, really bad. You're holding it out sort of like a cane, like, where am I going now?
It's like, ah!
Or more like a divining rod, like, key, take me to your secrets.
Fine then, keep your secrets.
So you, as you're kind of tapping on the door and pottering around, it sort of like starts a chain reaction which the narrative camera follows up through the first floor to the second floor and the north tower, where some dust falls from the ceiling and a bat flies up to immediately, without delay, deal with this offense to the Clare family. So, Ceridwen, what are you doing?
I whip out my wee duster and immediately just attack whatever it's touched, and then flutter away back into like the rafters of the room to scope things out. What am I in a room with any of the other, like the the laird's, or is it just what sort of room is
So
this?
you are in this part of the second floor, sort of the connection staircase that leads up to the North Tower, which has an open look out to the surrounding Isle of Shallot, and then the kind of like the bank either side. And you get rid of this dust, you vanquish it with your duster, kind of held in one claw. It's like 3 or 4 small downy feathers tied with spider silk to a stick.
Perfect.
And perfectly sized for a small bat such as yourself. And then with your ears and wings aflutter, you make your way back to the rafters and have a look around. The small suites, as they are called, as they are smaller and more suited for other animals, or smaller beasts, not cats and otters and the such, more mice and the like, are mostly empty. There are no guests at the keep this time of year. You see there is a corridor here looking at some of the suites, and there is a balcony looking down on the first floor below, which is sort of looking down at this area of the castle.
Uh-huh.
And I think you might hear, like, because the door to the Noon Messengers quarters are open, so you might hear, like, some paper shuffling and someone stamping something. But otherwise, you're on your own.
Yeah, I think this is I've finished up all my other work for the day, and I'm not needed for my next scheduled cleaning of the halls for a little while. So I've got a little time to myself, which basically means going back over what I've already cleaned to make sure it stays clean.
By any means necessary.
Any means necessary. Nothing will stand in my way.
So you start to sort of, like with 2 feet, sort of anti-space walk, kind of hanging from the ceiling in the rafters, sort of like, blah, 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 kind of walk your way along the ceiling from room to room, observing with a keen eye to see if there's any dirt. You make your way into the hallway, you poke your heads into all of the small suites and see that they are clear. You cross down and get to the open air walkway to the other part of the second floor. You kind of flap through the air, cling, and then you're kind of looking down on the Clare suites, which is where the Clares and the mates and little Emir lives. You kind of poke your head through into the Clare retreat, and you see Emir, who is a kitten, maybe 4 or 5 times the size of you, sitting on a cushion on the open air observatory here, and just poring through a book on the history of the Orb Eaters. You notice because it has a few diagrams and pictures, and you're quite keen-eyed.
I don't want to bother, anyone from the family that I work for. But I'm just going to have a quick nosy around to make sure the wee kitten hasn't messed anything up in here. Tiptoeing as best as a bat can.
So you tiptoe in, but Emir has, as a cat, the ears twitch, and then Emir's eyes, flick up to you, and you see large, round orbs with little thin slits adjusted to the sunlight, notice you, and then sort of awkwardly just bum shuffle on the cushion behind the wall, out of sight. Emir doesn't really keep a lot of eye contact. It's quite quiet as kittens go. And you look through. There is a dish with at least 4 crumbs on it, presumably from some kind of scone or biscuit or sandwich, God forbid, that Emir has eaten. What do you do?
So sorry, young master. Please, if you're going to eat something, please make sure you don't leave anything on the plate where any little insects or anything could get in. Please, when you're finished, send it away. Send it to the kitchen, please.
You plead, heart bleeding at this threat to the young master's health and an invasion of insects, and Emir sort of just goes, "Sorry."
It's okay. It's okay. Please be more careful next time.
And it sort of just like lifts the book up and then sort of looking at you over the book. Is not flat, but just sort of like shrunken and like trying to be as small and as unnoticeable as possible.
Oh. I'm gonna sweep, make sure all the crumbs are in the center of the plate, so there's no chance that they could fall off while I move it, and then just gonna shuffle the plate to the door so a servant can see it and pick it up.
Yes. I think you've got like a routine where it's like clatter clatter, sweep sweep, clatter clatter, sweep sweep, and it's sort of like you're just shimmying this plate along like. Satisfied you've done your duty, you move on from the kind of Claire retreat. Where would you like to go now?
Well, I've checked all of. I imagine I started at the very top, so I'm just going to work my way down. I'll head down to the first floor.
So you glide down the spiral staircase. You pass by the Way Wardens, which is the office of Mate Gwen, and you see that the Tomcat is inside looking over a map. The Tomcat notices you and says, "Ah, yes, Caradwin, could you come here for a moment?"
Oh, yes, what is it?
We have a new hire. Duff has seen in his eminent wisdom that we need more guards. Could you go find him and make sure that he's shown around? I think from the letter I was shown his name is Crux.
Crux. Yes,
Yes.
Absolutely. What am I looking out for?
Oh, of course, you're looking out for he sort of puzzles. As I, Brian, struggle. It's not a stoat, it's not a weasel, it's ferret. And I think Gwen sort of counts off on their fingers. Ferret. Sort of like a palish fur, dark around the eyes. They have a very large, I'm not sure if it's a knife or a sword. I'm glad that they have come pre-armed. That's a better ease on having to trade away for new equipment. Very noticeable. Yes. Can't quite remember where they're stationed. I should have probably cleared that up. Well, I'm sure you'll find them and make sure they're well introduced.
Yes, sir, absolutely. I'm so excited to have been given a task. During my downtime.
More work! What the best thing you could ever ask for.
What a treat.
So what do you do now? You hear sort of like tutting and shuffling from the library as Ozier is sort of like you're working on records, and you've seen Ozier before. Ozier's been here for maybe a few weeks and has been working on some kind of historical project or something.
I guess I'll head down. If I'm looking for a guard, they'll doubtless be near the guardhouse or, somewhere a guard should be. So I'll head down to the ground floor.
You head down again through the spiral staircase, and you see, as you kind of like, I would say you would be able to move very quietly around the corner of the room. You see that Lord Clare is set up, has his chair, and is taking meetings with various animals that have come through. There seems to be a few shrews that are having some difficulty over whose carrot precisely this is. They don't know where it grew. And is settling other disputes of the general island that need sorting out. Sort of just being counsel and wisdom. So you kind of sneak past. He does this every day. And you go through the door. You get to the guard dorms. And you realise that the doors here are actually closed, and you are too small to open them.
Oh no. Well, I am actually quite not afraid of the guards, but they're quite intimidating to me. So I'm a little too frightened to ask anyone to open it, and I do recognize all the guards that I'm seeing, so I know that none of them are Crux.
Yeah.
So I just leave. I'm like, well, that route is dead to me forever, so I'll go somewhere else.
I think maybe one time one of the guards maybe it was Barkley is a hare, and Barkley accidentally stepped on you, and you had a bruise for a week.
Oh no. Yeah, I'll just head through the wee underpass thing between the holes. Just keeping an eye out. I do notice something. One of the guests to the main hall has bumped some of the ornaments, and I'm so excited because that means later I get to rearrange them.
Yeah, you mentally file it away in your kind of list of tasks to do.
My never-ending tasks.
So you go into the second hall, and in this time, what do we think Oswald has gotten up to?
I think he's just leaving the bathroom.
Yes, so a ferret comes out of the bathroom, shaking wet paws, holding a brass key.
Oh, excuse me.
I was pooping!
I'm sorry?
I'm on duty, I swear. I just had to poo.
Are you Crux?
Who? Oh, Crux is my middle name. My name's Oswald. Oh, but people call me Crux on occasion.
Okay. I was told to give you a tour. I'm eyeing up this knife with a capital K. I don't really like weapons or violence. So I'm a little taken aback by the size of this knife. The captain was not lying. So I'm like, oh, are you? Can I show you around? Are you free?
Yeah, yes, I'm definitely free right now.
Okay, well...
What's your name?
Oh, me. I'm Caradwin. I'm the head cleaner. I'm in charge of all the cleaning. And then I also do some other things for the lords and the captains when they require it of me. I'm all chuffed with myself explaining this because it's such an important job in my eyes. Head cleaner. Oh, my mother would be so proud. But obviously, no one else in the castle thinks it's a title of high importance. I don't think. So I'm sort of puffing out my chest a little as I speak and doing a little shimmy of yes, I'm the head cleaner. Where would you like to start? Where have you already seen?
The toilet and this lovely hallway right here, and
yes, this is the second hall. The main hall is through this way. I just
lovely.
lead Oswald back through. You'll have to be very quiet because the Lord is talking to all of his guests today, so please don't touch anything and don't say anything. Be as quiet as you can.
As a mouse, don't worry about me.
I have known some mice to be very, very loud, so even quieter than that, please.
I think it's at this point, as you come into the main hall, that you notice the... Oh, that's much too intense, sorry. There we go. I forget that there's this one track in this thing that is a little bit more intense than the others. You notice that Lord Duff Clare is sitting in sort of a wooden chair. It's not a throne, it's not raised, it's just sort of something to symbolize that he's the important one in this room. And there are, I'm gonna say there is a hedgehog in front of him that is rather disgruntled. The hedgehog has a sort of a felt cap on and has a sack of food. And the hedgehog is saying, it's just unfair. It's been so hot this last few months. There's so few food. You can't tithe like this. It's not appropriate. And Lord Clare says, the bridges need to be maintained, and I understand things are tight right now, but after the winter we'll all have a bountiful spring. It'll be fine. And the hedgehog seems to protest, and things are getting a little bit heated. It's not normally the sort of a trial and solution air that it normally has.
Oh, we should leave. We shouldn't be here right now. Let's go upstairs.
This is kind of interesting.
No. Please don't stay upstairs. Please, we have to go.
He just stares on his way out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
At who?
just like the hedgehog, and he's like, when they walk through the door, his head is still back with his big long body, just like kind of like listening as far as he can.
I think the kind of the final words you kind of hear as you leave the room, the hedgehog is speaking, is, well, you don't charge the guilds like this. They don't have nearly as high a tithe, and I know they provide services, but we're the ones who gather the food. This is just downright unfair. And that sort of, you kind of hear as you kind of start to ascend the staircase to the first hall, and here the tour is very quick. You're able to understand, this is the library, here are the spinners, this is where they weave their fabrics, these are the noon messengers if you have to send any parcels. It's covered underneath their contract with the castle, and here are the large suites where guests stay if they, cats and wolves and things like that if they pass through. Well, not necessarily wolves, they're a bit too big. But like cats and snakes and larger birds, seagulls, that sort of thing. And then you get shown the second floor as well, and there's here are the Clares, and don't go in there. That's the master's room and things like that.
So there's a lot of guilds around here, right? Doing all their little business.
Oh, yes, of course. It's the castle.
Of course, silly question. Who would you say is the most profitable and needs the most protection?
Well, that would be the Lord himself, Lord Clare.
And this is his room here?
Well, yes. And I sort of I'm a little suspicious now because this guard, from what I know of guards, they don't tend to give a shit. They're there to get paid. So I sort of move my very small body a centimeter in front of the door. This is about as much protection as I am able or, willing to give.
So you move in front of the door as it opens, and Lord Duff's other mate, Edna, who is Emir's mother, opens the door and says, "Oh, Caradwin, that's where you are. Thank you very much for cleaning up Emir's mess a little bit earlier. It can be a little nuisance, but we do love him dearly. Hello." And sort of just rears up her head and her tail flicks a little bit as this new beast is in front of her chambers. The little purple X is where you guys are on the second floor right now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Would I refer to her as Lady Edna? Or
Mate Edna or Lady Edna, whatever feels comfortable.
Mate Edna, please let me introduce you to Crux. This is the newest member of the guard. Crux, please say hello.
The Crux is my middle name. Please call me Oswald.
I'm so sorry. I forgot. I'm distraught with this very important bit of information.
Shame. I think as you're I'm so sorry. Edna reaches over you, Caradwin, to Oswald and says, "Oh, thank you very much. You've joined the guard. Good to hear. I don't believe Lord Duff told me, but I'm sure. Oh, maybe it wasn't Lord Duff. Did Gwen hire you?"
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll have a little catch up soon.
Believe me, with me on the scene, you're so protected. I'm just here to look after y'all and really take care of this fine establishment, and you've got a lot of lovely possessions.
Edna sort of is nodding, and that sort of when you're not quite sure where someone's going with something, that's just nodding along, goes, yes, well. Yeah, and sort of turns head down to you, Curtin. Have you seen Emir? I'm not quite sure where he is. He's wandered off again.
Oh yes, Mate Edna, he's on the balcony.
And she sort of strolls across the hallway and sort of pokes her head out and, no, he isn't.
Oh,
and you kind of follow and you notice that Emir's just gone.
Oh, Mate Edna, I'm so sorry. This is the last place I saw him. I must apologize.
And Edna says, I'm sure he's somewhere. If you get a chance, if you could flap off into the village and just cast an eye out for him. I need to talk to him about his lessons. Right, I need to find... First I need to talk to Ivor about some records, and then I need to talk to Fergie. I'll chat to you soon. And she sort of goes down the staircase. She's not really wearing anything aside from maybe like a silvery necklace, and maybe some brass or some coppery like arm and leglets.
Mm-hmm.
Just very casual. No, she leaves it open. Or not, just closes it behind her, but doesn't lock it.
So, little pet, what do you do around here? You said you're cleaning stuff, right?
Yes, I am the head cleaner, so I do more than just stuff. But yes, that's right.
I imagine you're very busy and don't really have time to give me this tour any further. If you need to go off and do stuff, that's totally fine.
Well, it's true that I do need to now check the village, which is going to interfere with some of my plans. Well, if you would like me, I can escort you back to the guard rooms.
Oh no, it's fine. I know where those are.
Okay. I'm a little wary to leave Oswald alone, but I also have like a mission for Mate Edna, and I've already done my mission for Mate Gwen, so I'm like, well, here I go.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
So I think you leave via the balcony and are able to just start flying over the village if you'd like.
Yeah, I can go do that.
So I'm going to move us back over to Shallot. So, ta-da, this is where you are. You are on the balcony of the castle. So, whereabouts would you like to try and check first?
If he's left the castle, he's taken the front entrance. So I'm gonna head by the guard area, by the guardhouse, and I'll head down that wee path. So I'll just kind of like circle back and head down the path.
Sort of like this front area, some of the cottages, and the gardens and stuff like that. Okay, so I think this is going to be a scurry roll for me. This is the first roll of the game. I'd like you to describe how you would like to start searching for our friend.
I'm going to tag eye for detail.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to do like a cursory fly just down this whole path just to see if I can spot him on the path anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll fly back up to the castle to come in for a closer look.
So that's going to be 2d20. If you just roll that for me in chat.
Yes, 2d20 roll.
Not 20, 12. Sorry, math
12.
words. They do have 2s in them. I was 50% right. Okay, 11 and a 10. You definitely succeed. So you're flying around and you see there is a general, very lax queue of animals going in for hearings with the Lord. And you notice that, normally they're very relaxed about who goes in the queue and who's first, and, it's whoever is urgent. But you notice they're starting to kind of clump towards the entrance of the hall, as if they're kind of listening in on the hearing. But you've got a mission. You keep flying on, you spin round. Hide nor hair of him. Emma is fully slunk away somewhere. You don't see any shedding. You don't see like a tail flicking behind a building. You don't see anything really. You fly back up to the top of the castle and perch on the roof and sort of think for a minute.
This is somewhat concerning because it's not been that long since I've seen him, so he must have booked it to not still be on the path, I think. So I'll do a quick fly up the north end as well, just to see if he did leave that way. Kind of crossing everything in my body that he is just on the path out here, because if not, this is going to take much, much longer than I anticipated, and I don't want to fail.
So you fly over this area now. I want you to make another scurry roll for me.
I could. Can I just tag eye for detail again?
Yeah. If you want to describe it in a new way, that could be fun.
This time I'm coming a little closer to the ground. I'm not necessarily looking for Emir himself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for like if he's dropped the book that he was holding. Any more sort of abstract signs of him rather than just looking for him himself.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, make a scurry roll for me at advantage. That's another 2d12.
I misspelled roll somehow.
It's a 12 and a 5. That is a critical success. You do better than expected. There is no trace of Emir here. Not a single speck. You don't even think a cat has walked through this area. You are very certain that he either booked it, flew, or was probably still inside the castle.
Okay, I'm gonna. I'll head back inside the castle and try and check some of his. Some of the more interesting hiding places, which I know all about as head cleaner.
Mm-hmm. So you head inside and start to check the hiding places, the nooks, the crannies, the lows, the highs, and that's what you sort of get up to in the afternoon. Occasionally fixing a slightly shifted vase, or closing a door, or opening one, or dusting a window, and generally obsessing over the house, as is your comfort activity. While this is going on, Ozia, how have your studies been going?
I think I took a bit of a breather in order to avoid yelling at Ivor. And I've kind of done what I've done like many times in the time I've been staying here, and basically sidetracked myself onto something that I think I can get more done on. And it's kind of meant that this project has sort of spiraled into lots of little arcane bits and pieces that I probably didn't really need to research. But yeah, so now I'm looking into something completely different, like the history of like local meetings and what's kind of been decided in like local history recently, rather than what I was originally looking at, which was I think weather or something to do with weather records.
So you couldn't find the weather records, and you're pretty sure that if they did exist, that Ivor has probably lost them or filed them under the wrong date, which has happened before and is very annoying. So you're looking at meeting records, and there's some very interesting examples. There's an animal that works in the dairy, and you know their name. You've written it down somewhere so you can remember it. It is it's Gregor. Gregor had a meeting with the Guild of Lie Bashers earlier about about something, I don't know. I can hear someone drilling into my wall. Can you guys hear that?
No.
That one I
little
could
buzz,
hear, yeah.
Okay. Life goes on.
Yeah.
I was really worried that it was me or that like my computer was about to explode, but no, we're fine.
Cool.
So Gregor had a really interesting meeting with the Lie Bashers about acids and caustic soaps and things like that, which was good fun. And you're going through and kind of writing all these and looking through these different records and the what is essentially the minutes they keep for each of the meetings and being interested. And then you're a bit frustrated because the records for meetings over the last few weeks are really scarce. Ivor's probably put them away somewhere.
Yeah.
And not in the proper place, which is here in this folder.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go and find Ivor again, bracing myself. And do you know who is responsible for taking these minutes? Because maybe I can just catch up with him. That might be simpler. And then I can give you a break and get out of your hair because you're clearly so overworked, Ivor.
Ivor wakes up. Halfway through what you're speaking, he goes, yes, very overworked, it's very busy in the archives. And he goes, oh, you've got the meeting minutes folder from the last month, isn't that interesting? Who keeps them? It's not myself. They're self-submitted. There've been quite a few little gatherings in the village recently. it's up to whoever wants to put them in, I feel.
Right. So there's not any one person who's in charge of this. That explains a lot, actually. Well, do you know who's been responsible for the past few months? Because there's a lot of gaps here. I'm not finding any. Have they been put somewhere else? Is there maybe a place for more recent meetings that I've not found? Or any help here, Ivor?
And Ivor says, "Oh, I'm pretty sure I can't help. I think you could just wander around and have an ask of folk in the village. They're very friendly here. But as I said, they're self-submitted, so you do the meeting, you make the notes, you give them to me, I put them in the archive, and you can come and find them later. It's nice and dry here, as opposed to maybe, say, in a wooden hut. Yes. But no, if you want to see me, the meeting of the chess committee, I can show you. I preside over that with Fergie. We're the only folk who like chess. But
Right.
would you like to join? And gets very excited and awake all of a sudden.
I think actually, I mean, great as chess is, I probably should focus a little bit on this project, and maybe later, maybe once I've made a bit of progress on this, because I really do need to get some work done on this. You've been a great help as always. As always,
Ivor says,
Ivor.
"Oh, of course, very diligent of you. I noticed you're quite behind on your own projects, so sure, I can pick up the slack."
Right, I'll get on with that then. Thanks, Ivor.
So you, what do you want to do now? What are you concluding from this?
I think my best chance is to go and do some hands-on research. I think so. I pack up some paper and what notes I think will be useful, and I kind of head down through the castle with the aim of going out to look and see if anybody knows what is going on and has been going on recently.
Mm-hmm. In the corridor, you pass a new guard. Oh, the one you saw earlier with that bat, whose name escapes you. You sort of shuffle past them. You go past a hedgehog having sort of like getting very red in the face at something the Lord said, or whatever. You walk out through the front gates. It's a lovely, warm, summery afternoon, and the village is in front of you. Who would you like to try and ask? Who do you think in the village would be the best person to go to see about meetings, and who's been having meetings?
What guilds are kind of? I mean, obviously there are guilds within the castle. Are there any guilds kind of represented out in the village that maybe?
It's actually quite curious. There aren't any guilds in the village yet. They all seem to have like little outposts or representatives staying at the castle. Everyone else in the village just sort of lives here.
Right. Well then, I will look for anyone who is visibly like out and doing some work, but like not the kind of work where they won't be able to stop and chat. Because I don't want to go knocking on doors just yet. I'm not quite that desperate. Just kind of look for people who might be able to stop and have a wee chat, and I can take some notes.
So you notice that there is a pair of mice over the bridge. Over here, who are just returning from the nearby forest with a few bags slung over their shoulders. One of them is open. You notice they have a couple berries and seeds in, but they're not full. You stop and wave with a claw or like a wing at the mice, and they both stop and go, "Oh, hello. How can I help?"
Hi, I was wondering, are you at all involved in local kind of community meetings at all? Because I'm looking to do some research and I'm really getting nowhere up in the town, so I wondered if you could perhaps help me with my research at all. What kind of details could you tell me about, for example, the past few like harvests and things like that, like details like that I really need to get off people on the ground, like rustic folk like yourself.
So the mice take this in, and when you say, "Oh, have you been in any meetings?" one of the mice opens their mouth as if they're about to speak, and the other mouse kind of not jabs them in the ribs, but sort of just nudges them, and they both look you up and down. Pause for a second, and then the one that did the nudging turns says, if you want to talk about the harvest, it's been real hard the last couple of years. I mean, in the spring there were boars all over the forest. You couldn't go out for fear of being eaten. And now there's not much left on the bushes. Birds have all eaten it and flown off. Fair winders have passed through, had the best of it, and well, now there's not much left for us. So we haven't been able to get to fields because the boars, they haven't been, terrorizing. They've been tearing up the ground, and all the plantings we did is gone. And winter's not looking comfortable.
Osier has already taken out some of his paper and is already scribbling down notes on this, trying to record what they're saying in a big flurry of kind of activity, because they didn't think to prepare this before they started asking questions at all. And so they kind of look up and go, right, yes, terrible. Yes, and can you tell me further back a few summers, when exactly did the boar start appearing around here? What details do you remember about this?
Oh, well, it's the last couple of years, and I think this is something that you would know as well, but the boars, and what they call the boar wars, happened the last couple of years. Before that, there might be a boar, but we're talking hundreds of boars carving through the bristly woods, seemingly from past the east, past the green wall,
right.
Being a terror. You've been quite removed from it, because you've been, staying with the guilds, and the guilds have good food, and you've just been staying with your books, so it's mostly something you've heard about rather than seen and experienced.
Yeah. Right,
so they say,
yes.
boars a couple of years back, never seen so many of them. And as for the summers, this is the hottest it's been. I think it's just a bad summer. Last year wasn't so bad. It was mostly wet and grey. The year before that was sunny, so it might be on off. I'm not sure.
Yes, that would certainly. I mean, my records don't exactly carry that out, but I'm sure that probably makes sense from your point of view. So. You say this summer's been very sunny. Is there anybody around who's been keeping track exactly of what the weather has been like, more scientifically, perhaps? Because yes, there's not many records, and it would be great to talk to somebody who's got hands-on record keeping around here.
Sorry, don't keep notes, and don't have the time for it. We probably have to be getting off. You do notice that the mouse has been speaking as the one who nudged. The other mouse has mostly kind of kept quiet and has actually moved behind the second mouse.
Oh, well, thank you for your help. Do you have anything to add? You seem to have been very quiet. Do you corroborate your friend? It's great to have people back up their friends' accounts. It really helps with the record keeping.
Oh, yeah, sure. Bad summer, really hot, boars, really mean. My cousin got eaten. We got to get this back into the hut and see what we can do with it. Have a lovely evening. And the kind of two mice scurry into their hut.
Osier finishes writing "cousin got eaten," and then kind of nods and waves them off as he folds up his paper, and then sort of looks around, going, "Well, that wasn't really that useful, but I guess it's something." And looks around, sort of well, where next? Is there anywhere else I could be checking?
I'm going to give you an option. Would you like something bad to happen in exchange for information? Or would you like your investigation to turn up nothing?
Oh, I think something bad is more interesting, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a little mark for myself. I don't have a proper scurry character sheet on Roll20 just yet, but I am going to be working on one soon with someone when I have spare time. But one bad thing has happened, 3 more bad things, and the die shrinks in size from a D12 to a D10. You ask around, and generally you get some sour looks from folk, and mostly the same information. The summers have been bad, the boar was awful, there's not much to forage, things that you'd already sort of had corroborated from other reports. But curiously, all of the animals that you talk to, very specifically mice and swallows, there's a frog you speak to, there's a dipper in the village on one of the docks. They all seem to look at your beak first before deciding to talk to you. You sort of catch your beak in the river and you look and you think it's not too long, it's not too sharp. And you look at your feet and your claws and you think, I don't know, I'm just a little bird.
Obviously I double check that I've not managed to get ink or anything on it. I'm gonna, wandering back towards the castle and kind of ask, see if there's any guards about or anyone who I can maybe kind of say, is there, some kind of beef between the smaller animals and the more, larger and more maybe predatory animals? Because I seem to be kind of hitting a wall and trying to talk to people.
So you go up to the closest guard, whose name you have caught a couple times. Their name is Barkley and they're a hare. And so you've asked, and the hare sort of, is maybe twice as tall as you are, because you are sort of not a big bird, but not a small bird either. And it's the hare can kind of go onto its hind legs, if that makes sense. And so Barkley kind of looks at you and she says, not that I've noticed, I don't think. We're all quite peaceable here. Any of the more clawed folk, as you might say, eat fish. I know that at least the herd, the Clares haven't been hunting in these forests for years. Long before the castle was here.
I mean, that's what I thought as well. That's what my research says. And yet people seem very kind of wary and they keep looking at is there something on my beak? Is there something? I've looked, I've not been able to see anything. I don't know what it is.
Sort of peers at your face and both sides of your beak and says, not that I can notice.
Right. Oh, well, thank you.
Barkley sort of turns to another guard that she's with by the name of Rowan. Rowan is an otter. And Barkley turns to Rowan, who's a similar sort of size and height, and says, have you had any trouble with smaller creatures? The mice and the other little things that kind of skit around. And Rowan says, oh, well, I don't think so. They're going to stay out of my way, really. Well, I have had... It was the strangest thing. I was on a bridge with a mouse. I was walking along, the little narrow one out the back, that carts, only one at a time. And I was walking along, and the mouse gives me the strangest, terrified look. He just jumped off the bridge into the river. Perfectly fine, swam to the shore. But got his little cloak and hat all wet.
Good grief. You're right,
that was about a week ago.
A week ago, you say?
Yeah.
Well, that is very odd, yes. And they jumped right off the bridge. I'll make a note of this. How very strange. I don't suppose there's anybody that you can think of who would know more about this. It's not exactly there.
It's not. I didn't really think much past it, really. Yeah, weird mouse.
Weird mouse.
What do you think's going on?
My notes.
The two guards sort of perk up a little bit as they realise that you are an animal talking to them about guard stuff. So, Barkley says, what, do you think there's a problem? Has anyone been giving you trouble?
Oh, not at all. No. I mean, other than the usual up in the library, but no, I'm just trying to kind of... I mean, my research is covering the recent bad weather and the recent bad harvests and kind of trying to figure out the lasting consequences of this. So obviously any kind of change in behaviour is very fascinating and might be useful data. But yeah, I'm not sure that it will be relevant. It's just rather strange. I think you'll agree.
Yeah, it is quite strange, Barkley says. Tell you what, I can ask my sister. She lives on the other side of the river. She helps out at the castle sometimes with the weaving and the fabric. I'll go talk to her tonight and see if anything's a bit fishy or going on, or maybe not fishy. I don't know. Thanks for bringing this up. I'm sure it's nothing. Maybe just the heat.
Well, glad to be of assistance. And Ozier suddenly has the thought that, oh, you've been telling a bunch of guards that like the small animals have been looking at you, and like maybe you're gonna get someone in trouble, and that completely didn't occur to him before. So he's just suddenly like, I mean, I'm sure it's absolutely nothing. So like, only if it's no trouble for you to look into that. Yeah, but thank you, I guess. But yeah, don't put yourself out or anything.
And Barclay she says, oh, no, it's no problem. She owes me tea anyway. She came over and had some in the guard coat. And she took the good stuff as well. It was all like nettles and brambles from last year. It was all tasty. She kind of starts mumbling. And is now like, oh, yeah, she does owe me tea. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to have a honey. See how she likes it. In like a very like sisterly way. And the guards get to talking about like what they like to drink and their favorite like brewables, and seem to forget you quite quickly.
I kind of take that as an opportunity to sort of slink off, maybe back up to the library and kind of try and collect my notes a little bit, and sort of collect my thoughts and try and figure out what felt so weird about all this, and maybe if it is actually anything or if I'm just being paranoid.
So as you go back up to the library and start to check your notes and research as to maybe there is something happening, the camera kind of follows you up to the library, and then as you turn off towards the library, goes further up the stairs back to Oswald. Oswald, you have just had your escort fly off to find some kid. What are you up to?
Oh, I'm going in the room.
Going in the room?
Yeah.
Okay. The door is well oiled and doesn't creak as it opens. I'm just going to find if this is the right playlist. There we go. I like that. You open the door, and it is a well-organised chamber. A little bit more organised than the halls, actually. You see that there are, there's a desk and a bureau, and there's a mirror, there's some brushes. This is the chamber that is adjacent to the staircase on the third floor. You notice that there is a sliding panel into the next door in here as well, and there seem to be a few beds. There's 2 beds laid out. One is larger and filled with cushions, and the other is smaller, presumably for maybe that kid that went missing or wandered off, What are you looking for?
Looking for anything that's shiny.
Okay. I want you to make a scurry roll for me to see what kind of shiny things you find.
I have keen eyes, I think I said. Keen ears, dang it. I don't have anything that will help. So is it just a straight roll?
Straight roll, D12.
Never said I was good at what I do, but it's a 3.
Oh, a 3. So this is a complication. You succeed, but at a cost. I'm going to offer you 2 choices. Do you make a mess and not realize, or do you put something back in the wrong place?
Make a mess.
So you are lifting up cushions, you're moving clothing, you are shifting things about, and it is very clear that the room, to anyone else's eye as you walk in, someone has been through here. In a subtle way, things are slightly shifted. You find a couple sort of like paw rings that would go over one of like the knuckles on a paw. They're a little bit too big for you, more cat-sized. You find a bottle of perfume of essential oils. It smells really grassy, not a scent that you like. You look at the label and it says catnip. You shuffle through some pillows. You find another key. This is small. It seems to be for a box or a chest or something. Stick it in your belt. What's one thing that you would like to find?
He wants to find jewelry or some sort of strange and unique trinket.
You find a mirror. And it is oddly shaped because there are steel mirrors, which is polished metal to give a shine. But this is what's called a true mirror. You've only really heard rumors about this when you're selling stuff to other places. A true mirror is something the Titans made. It's this sort of very fragile glass, but it gives a reflection like water. This mirror is jaggedly shaped. I'm going to draw a little doodle of it to the right on the map here. It's sort of shaped like this with a soft silver wrapped around the edges and beaten into place.
Jackpot.
And you see your reflection in it, your 3 scars, your little mask, and it kind of glitters and shimmers in the dim light. There's light coming in from a window on the far side of the room, warm and afternoon.
He like looks at himself in the mirror for a bit, like admiring his little mask, and he's found this cool mirror, and he's like, "Oh, you handsome devil, you." You said there's a window?
Yeah.
He's gonna open up the window.
Yes, you open the window, and you look down. You are looking out over water. If we take you guys back to Shallot, the map there, just to show you, this is sort of where you're looking out over. There's a little bit of shore and a little bit of sand, and then it's just river water, wide and open.
He's going to tie up some of the bed covers and stuff, and make it look like a rope going out the window. And then he's going to saunter on out and start yelling, "There's been a break-in! Oh my god!"
So you yell down the stairs, "There's been a break-in!" Which, I think draws attention. Who would run in? Let's take you back to the castle and see who would be there. So, the adjacent rooms below, you've got the library and the records, there's the spinners. I think the first person to run in would be... Looking at my notes, I think it's a hare. She's slim and brown. She looks kind of like one of the guards from this morning. We didn't really look too closely. She then pokes her head in. He says, hello, sorry, a break-in? Is everything all right?
He's got like his hand on his head like a dame who's shocked. He's like, "There's been a break-in. I heard some noises and I went to go check. I was on a little meet and greet with that wee bat, and then I heard some noises, so I checked his side, and I just saw a little shadow jumping out the window, and there's things gone. Maybe I don't live here. I don't actually know, but this room's a mess." Oh, woe is I.
The kind of the hare goes up to you and says, "Oh, you all right? Who are you? What are you doing here?
I'm new. I'm a guard."
And then she sort of pulls back. If you're a guard, aren't you meant to be chasing after the... And she kind of goes into the room, takes a step, and says, This is the ladies' quarters. I'll go get some more guards. You should... If there's a thief, you should chase after them.
Don't judge me, but I can't swim.
And she sort of kind of touches your shoulder, not tenderly, but like, "Oh, I'll get more guards. I'll get Oswald and Rowan. Rowan can swim." And she sort of runs down the stairs and pauses and goes, "A cat? Doesn't matter," and kind of runs down the stairs. You are on your own again.
He just nicks a couple more things and leaves.
Where do you go?
Away. We just head downstairs like do-do-do-do-do. Bum-ba-dum-bum-bum.
So you go down to the second floor, and you see that there is a hedgehog poking, their head out of the spinner's guild room. It says, "Is there a break-in? What are you carrying? Are you all right?" And sort of looks at you've got a couple cups and a robe in your arms.
This is mine. I was going to go for a little nap if that's such a big problem with you.
Okay. And she sort of retreats back into the quarters and closes the door, and then you hear as it locks.
He's just like, the audacity of some people.
You hear a coming from the library.
He'll go look what that is.
You see Ivor is asleep on one of the desks, like head on the desk, like sitting in one of the chairs.
He goes over. Does he have anything on him?
What, Ivor?
Yeah.
I think he's got like the shawl draped around him. If you wanted to search him, I would count that as something bad.
No, he'll leave him, but he'll go look at the books. Is there anything with a funny title, like Everybody Poops, or anything like that?
Make a scurry roll for me. You're searching through the books. Do you want to try and tag anything?
I don't have anything.
Just roll a d12 for me.
Okay. 8.
8, you succeed. No, they're all just boring records. You're searching through, you go, apples, apple tree keeping, apple orchards. Oh, God, I don't like fruit. You're going through, you find, like, some weather records from, like, the last week. Ugh, throw them over your shoulder. You kind of start going through the books, very distracted, and then you hear clattering of paws on stone running up the stairs. And you realise that some actual guards have shown up. You poke your head out of the door and you spot them. They run past the second flight floor up to the third floor. It's an otter and a hare and a hedgehog with the hare that followed them. Or the hare that spoke to you.
Because he's still kind of carrying some stuff that he nicked, he's going to pull out a bunch of books and stuff it back there and then put the books back.
Mm-hmm. Where do you go now?
He'll run up to the room and be like, oh, fucking...
There's been a robbery.
So you play it up. The other guards are like, why did you go after them? You explain, I can't swim. And then the otter that's with them, whose name you didn't catch, sort of pokes his hand and says, oh, there's no water trail on the other bank. Maybe they got swum downstream. Oh, I have to go. And kind of runs down the stairs. They leave their spear by the door as they run and seem to be kind of getting ready to start swimming in the river. And it's just... I'm going to say this counts as something bad. The guards start kind of like questioning and searching the room, saying, who would just leave? Who would make a rope out of bed sheets? It had to have been inside the castle. Oh, mate, Edna's going to be so annoyed. Oh,
Must have been an inside job, it was. Or those people that these cats have pissed off downstairs. They did make quite a fuss.
Oh, there was that hedgehog. He came off in such a fury. I don't think he'd break in. And then one of the hedgehogs kind of goes, what do you mean? I could definitely climb up a wall. Not saying that I would. Oh my God, I was with you this whole time, but I could definitely climb up. You're saying that we couldn't break into a castle if we wanted to.
Why would you say something like that? That's just so mean. Hedgehogs can do what they like.
Yeah. And then the other guard's like, I'm just saying, look, we should go lock down. We should take those other people in the queue and make sure we just, line them up and put them in the second hall or something. And one of the guards goes down, do it, and the hedgehog is now in the room going, I could break in here. Window wasn't even latched. You know what I'm talking about. And is just sort of grumbling and starts to sort of like neaten things up in here. Undoes the rope, the makeshift like bedsheet rope in the room. Oswald, you have successfully sown a lot of chaos. What do you do next?
I'm gonna go get a snack.
You make your way down to the main hall and then through to the kitchen. In the main hall, Lord Clare is speaking with one of the guards, and then the guard that went down, and then they both go off and start out of the main hall. They seem to completely ignore you. You go into the kitchen, and in there is a badger, who is just kind of handling lots of different stew pots and ovens and dishes. The kitchen's quite large, and there are some baked biscuits on one of the surfaces here.
Excuse me, Mr. Badger.
And then the badger turns round and sort of kind of crooked back says, that's Mrs. Badger to you. Who are you? And she kind of goes up to you and sort of like puts a paw on you. Come here, I want to see who you are.
It's just like, oh, she's touching me.
He sort of like starts with like kind of semi like flowery paws, like squishing your face, oh, soft, squishy, pushes you down because you're all hunched over, small. You must be one of the kids from the village. You here for a biscuit? Oh, come on here. Little Stu will give you a little treat. Come on, don't let anyone see. And she kind of like shuffles over to one of the counters and starts to look around for the biscuits.
He's just like, yee, biscuits.
Where have you come from today then? Who's you?
My name is Oswald. I came from downriver a little bit, and I have heard great things about your cooking, miss. Only wonderful things, and I have to say you're quite a treat for the eyes as well. Not only just treats that you give, but the ones on the eyes. Or eye.
She sort of like slaps you, like on the side, like an aunt would, and go, "Oh, you little young thing! Oh, you kids these days keep me young." And she starts like putting biscuits into your paws. Oh, go on, take them. Oh, I haven't had a nice compliment. Oh, look, it's been so roasted in this kitchen.
Oh, it's very
Would you
hot,
like some
isn't it?
stew? And would you like some porridge or some? Oh, I've got some juice on the side as well. What are they feeding you these days?
Look at this, wasting away to bones.
And you notice that she kind of goes over and starts taking out some food that is in like packaging. You notice for like storage, and like she breaks open like a little wooden cask and pours out some juice and then dilutes it with some water and then kind of hands it over in a cup and you sip on it. And it tastes that slightly musty taste of like food that's from last year. You know, like old like cordial or juice and that sort of stuff. And while the biscuits are fresh, some of the food seems to have seen storage. And she hands you sort of like a withered apple that's sort of like, not rotten, but you know, when it's been stored for a long time.
Oh, you're right, Jem, dear.
Oh, no problem. Honestly, don't feed people in these castles like they used to. Oh. She turns and says, I smell burning. And she kind of goes around to one of the hobs and starts vigorously stirring one of the stews. And she starts rambling about her day to you. Just like all the people who've come in, and there was this bat and wouldn't stop dusting, and the ashes, and and yeah.
He's just like, I like this lady, and there's no one else down here, so I'm just going to listen and eat my biscuits.
You kind of, you put yourself in one of the corners and sort of like nod and yeah, chomp, 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 yeah. Oh, can I have another biscuit? And you kind of do this, and you are oblivious to the mounting panic outside. In the outside the main hall in the courtyard, the queuing animals are lined up. The sun is setting. The afternoon is withering away into night, and animals are not content. There is a crowd now with Lord Clare outside of animals disgruntled. They've been accused of theft. Of someone breaking into the castle, and why would you accuse your own villagers? And you're here to sort our problems. We're not giving you problems. Why are you getting angry at us? And there seems to be unrest. Ceridwen, you kind of see this starting to unfold from the rooftop and are very nervous. You're sure that there was a theft in the castle. You would be the one to know about it. Why did no one tell you? You've been looking for this kitten, and you know there's nowhere to be seen, and oh god, no, very anxious. Ozia, you come back to the library to find that there are just all of the notes have been scattered. There are books on the floor, and there are angry animals outside. Everyone's feeling a little bit stressed right now. I'm going to say this is the fourth and final bad thing that has shrunk the scurry die down to a D10, and there is a feeling of anxiety, a sinking, tense feeling in people's stomachs. That is where we're going to end this half of the session. So we're going to take a little break and we'll be back in just a bit. But we're just going to reintroduce who has been playing so far and enduring all of the wonderful breaks and annoyances and drilling noises that have been happening on my end. I have been Brian. I use he, him pronouns. I have been your narrator. I have been joined today by 3 wonderful beasts. Eve, do you want to introduce yourself again quickly first?
Yes, I'm Eve. I use they, he pronouns. I've been playing Caradwyn, the bat who likes to clean, and I make inhibit and run Quindry Press.
Beautiful. Next up, we have got Letty.
I'm Letty. I use she, they pronouns, and I am Toadlet with 2 T's on the end on Twitter, and I make comics and illustrations. And I've been playing Osher, the heron.
And last but not least, we have got Leo.
Hello, I'm Leo. I use he, they pronouns. I use the name Cruve online. I'm a comic artist and illustrators, mainly doing TTRPGs, and I've been playing your chaotic ferret for the evening, Oswald. What was my second name?
Fleetfoot.
Fleetfoot. Oswald Fleetfoot.
Oswald, what is my last name?
He doesn't even know at this point.
Oh, he's got 3 names. There's one lonely otter walking around looking for a Jonathan as well, so... Oh, that's been Beast Fables. We will be back in just a little bit. See you soon.